Welcome to the High Adventure Scouting Podcast. This is the source for all things high adventure for scouts, scouters, and anyone else interested in promoting high adventure trips for our youth. You can find all kinds of great high adventure options for your scouts at highadventurescouting.com. We are constantly updating the list of cool trips, and we want your input on your best trip. Welcome, high adventure enthusiasts. We are excited, as always, to highlight a high adventure base on this edition of the High Adventure Scouting Podcast. Today, we're joined by Sarah Flowers, Director of Camping Services, and Reed Parrish, Aquabase Director, both from the Lincoln Heritage Council located in Kentucky. Their high adventure base is called Aquabase and is on Pfeffer Scout Reservation on Kentucky Lake. Sarah and Reed, thanks for joining us today on the High Adventure Scouting Podcast.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. It's really great to be here, and we really appreciate what you're doing for the scouting community here.
Couldn't agree more. Thanks for having us.
Well, I love learning about high adventure bases, so it's a little selfish on my part. But the purpose of the podcast is to give listeners more information about your program offerings. Now, I've been down to the area where you guys have Aquabase, so I know about it because I'm closer to the regional area. But I suspect there's a whole lot of people that have never heard of Aquabase and what you guys are doing down there. So why don't we just give you a quick overview of what you guys do, and we can just really dive down into into everything and get some more information. Sound cool?
Sure. We are located in the far western side of Kentucky, so if you think where Illinois, Missouri, and Tennessee meet, we're in that end of the state. And we are on beautiful Kentucky Lake. Kentucky Lake is roughly 184 miles long and depends on where you measure it, 2 to 5 miles wide. But our program, we use about 30 miles of the north end of the lake, and that's just because of the navigation abilities on that end of the lake.
Okay. Well, just tell me about what scouts will do while they're at Aquabase, and just kind of give me an overview of what they should expect and what leaders should expect when they go on these outings.
Okay, so scouts will come in Sunday afternoon, and we get everybody checked in. We do some icebreaker games, and then we assign scouts to their boats. We put 4 scouts on a boat with this program. We have a fleet of 25-foot sailboats, 4 Catalina 250s, and 4 Hunter 25-foot boats. And then we have 3 hours of class time in the evening and then some on-dock training. And then the next morning, we have another 3 hours of classroom work and more on the dock training. And then we try to leave right after lunch and we set sail.
All right. Is that
Rob, the important thing to note too is that these kids are actually the ones manning these boats. So the training that Reed provides them is important because there is no adult on the boat with these guys. So it's a true experience that the team building and the opportunities that these young men and women have to operate these sailboats is just fantastic.
Well, that's cool. Now, do they need any sailing experience before they come on this trip?
We do require, one of the requirements is that they have small boat sailing merit badge. Other than that, they do not need any sort of other training or experiences with sailboats.
Okay.
They pretty much learn as we go. It's a very unique experience. We may be spread out, say 1.5 miles between the first and last boat, and I can see from my boat exactly what it is that they're doing and more or less what they're going through in terms of troop or personal dynamics. It's kind of fun to see. By Monday afternoon, they're just trying to figure it out. And then by Wednesday, they're starting to come together as a unit. And that's really nice to see because you can see the boats actually sailing well. Tuesday's a
Well,
very rough day.
I'll bet. I'll bet. Now, when they go out on these go out on the lake, do they stay out on the lake? Do they come back, or what's the how does that work?
Right. When we leave camp on Monday, we do not return to camp until Friday, right after lunch, right about noontime. And they will stay on the boat 24 hours throughout the week. So we go into some safe harbors around the lake for overnight to spend the night. And then we do have a couple of other places, marinas, that we will go to during the day that we'll visit.
Okay, so they'd be sleeping on the boat, basically.
They do, yes.
Okay, so it's a lot like those familiar with sea base. Those are a little bigger, but you sleep on the boat. You don't come back until you're done, till the end of the trek. So
Right. Well, this is different than sea base in that there's not an adult on the boat with you to tell you
right,
what to do, and then B, they have to figure out how to make the boat go. And then when things get rough, like on Tuesday, they have to figure out, okay, who's going to lead and who's going to follow. When there are mechanical failures, they have to figure out how to overcome that obstacle, that challenge. We are connected with a Marine VHF radios, so we're in constant communication, but they're on the boats by themselves.
well, that's a great experience. I
It
imagine that's a
is.
almost life changing experience.
It is. I
Yeah,
can see them whenever they get off the boat on Friday afternoon. Every one of these scouts stand taller and have an air of confidence about them that they did not have whenever they came in on Sunday.
that's
It
neat.
really is a once in a lifetime opportunity, Rob. I mean, I don't know many councils who would give 4 scouts a 25-foot Catalina and say, "Have fun."
Right.
Oh, I think it's awesome, and I I think that sounds like a good vacation to me, but it's pretty hard. Now, I know there's a summer camp option there at the same place where Aquabase is,
That's
called
right.
Roysty Manchester, and that's if there's an option like that, I like to highlight it for troopers. So that's a cool opportunity to have both programs. So.
It is,
Um,
and a lot of times, and we kind of think we're the best kept secret of the West Kentucky here, but we run 4 weeks of our traditional summer camp program. So if you've got a lot of those newer scouts and a good mix of older scouts, and you're looking for a program that could accommodate both of them, we've got that right here at Pfeffer Scout Reservation with our Royston Manchester summer camp program and then Reed's Amazing Aqua Base program. So your older boys can hop on the sailboats for the week, and your younger kids can enjoy a traditional summer camp experience right in the same location.
that's great.
Right. And Rob, we have scouts that come in as provisionals, so onesies and twosies. A single scout might come in, the parents might drive them up from Florida or from Missouri, and they are mixed in with people that may have a contingent on land at camp. So we all work together to make sure that everybody's taken care of.
That's great. And that was a question I always have if there's provisional options for because we've had to do that in our troop for uh, boys can't go certain week. We'll pair them up with another troop. So
Correct.
that's great.
We have that happens fairly often. Say, for instance, a troop sends 5 boys. We can only put 4 boys on a boat, so I let the youth decide what who's going to move to the next boat, and then we keep moving around until we have a good crew. Because not only do I do try to keep troops together, but I'm also looking at the age group and the physical abilities of those scouts. Sailing's fairly demanding in terms of their body strength, and so I've tried putting 4 small scouts on a boat. It just doesn't work.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's for sure.
because
Yeah.
I have to go over to their boat every morning and pull up their anchor, and that
Oh my gosh. Now, on that same vein, is there a minimum age that you usually look for, like most high adventure programs do?
yes, sir, yeah, it's 14 years.
Okay, okay. We all know the major high adventure bases around the country, and they offer some awesome programs. Have you been searching for a cool alternative from your typical high adventure trip? As a scout leader, I want to give our scouts some great alternatives. You need to check out highadventurescouting.com. You'll find information on over 30 different council high adventure bases in 24 states. Maybe you're looking for a do-it-yourself option and need some ideas. Maybe you've taken a great trip and you want to share your good fortune with your fellow scouts and scouters. Just send us the details and we'll publish your trip. Whatever your interest, highadventurescouting.com is the one-stop shop for all things high adventure. That's highadventurescouting.com. Right. And what's the cost? Is it a lot more than going to summer camp, or is it less, or is it about the same?
Yeah, so Rob, we feel like we're fairly well priced compared to some of your other programs. So we have two options. We have a out of council option and we have an in council option. Our out of council fees are $395 is our regular fee, and if you meet all the discounts, you'll get in at 370. And our in council fee is 370 for the regular, and then if you hit all the discounts, it's 345, which comparably to some of the sea-based pricing, it's really something you can't beat for what you get. That's all inclusive. That's your meals. That's all the stops that Reed was talking about. The only thing not included in that is any souvenirs that you'd want to purchase at some of the stops that Reed had mentioned.
Right. Yeah. I've paid to go to Seabase, Northern Tier, Philmont, uh, Jamboree, so I know all about the high costs. So that's pretty reasonable for sure. So, um, and where do most of the scouts come from? And I know where you're at in Kentucky. I've been to that particular camp where Aquabase starts out at, and beautiful, just beautiful area. Like you said, best kept secret in the country. So, but where do
Sure.
most of the scouts looking at Aquabase come from?
Well, for our geographic region, we are almost in the center of the U.S., and we have had scouts come literally from all over California, Idaho, the eastern seaboard, Florida, Texas, Louisiana. They just come from all over. We get a lot from Greater St. Louis Area Council.
I'll bet it's very close. It's very close to the area, so easy
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
get to too. Um, Now, how early do you have to sign up to really get a spot in one of these boats?
Depends on the week that you want to go sailing because weeks 1 and 2 fill up really fast. And reservations open after summer camp closes. Sarah, can you elaborate?
Sure. So we try to keep our reservation system open and available for folks to come in, but we start taking reservations for the next year when summer camp is over. So when summer camp ends in July, then we start taking reservations for the following summer. So we've got quite a bit of reservations already for our Aquabase program this year. As Reed mentioned, week 1 and 2 do fill up pretty quick. 3 and 4 tend to lag, but they always fill up. I definitely recommend that you get your reservation in prior to December because after that it's usually
Mhm.
pretty full, and we're waiting on people to drop and start a late list. So
Exactly, and being right there at, on the Pfeffer Scout Reservation with Camp Royce, Manchester, and Aquabase, it's a great combination for any troop wanting to keep the older boys involved and still go to camp and have a traditional program for the younger guys. And And
Right, and that's really how this program came about. Say about 23 years ago, there was a gentleman that wanted to make sure that the older scouts still stayed in scouting, and he had a love of sailing and a love of scouting, and he, on his own, started to gather some boats together and created this small fleet, and then it's just snowballed into what we've had today.
well, that's great. I think I brought a troop down there about 25 years ago, and I'm showing my age right now, but we had it was just a great week. And I think they went that particular troop after I moved. They went down there almost every year and just loved it. And in fact, I one of our Eagle Scouts in my troop where I'm at right now spent 3 summers down on staff at uh, uh, at at the scout camp. So
Nice.
yeah, so we kind of have a connection there with you guys. So
Right, we definitely appreciate that, and the Lincoln Heritage Council really prides itself on top-notch premier facilities. So we've invested quite a bit of capital money into our properties over the last couple of years, so that we can meet the needs of the changing dynamics that scouting has to offer. So
Mhm.
we appreciate the fact that you've come and that you came more than once. So thank
yeah,
you for that.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yes,
Well,
our new
there's
facilities are just amazing. They are wonderful.
and this is the cool thing about doing this particular podcast is there are so many awesome council based activities around the country for high adventure and other things that you'll never run out of really awesome places to go and experiences for your scouts. So um, now obviously you don't need tents with the Aquabase program. I mean
Right?
they have their own tent. It's called a sailboat. But is there any big equipment that they'll need to bring with them other than their personal gear, or is that all provided?
Let's see. I do send out a packing list, and it's the usual stuff like swim trunks, t-shirts, a little bit of spending money. They can bring their own PFD if they want to. We are a no cell phone trip because I found that that takes away from their experience that they're out on the lake trying to have.
Mhm.
And that's a real shock for them for a lot of the scouts that come in. But by Wednesday, every afternoon we do a thorns and roses, and by Wednesday the grumbling about the cell phones has kind of stopped, and every once in a while, if somebody's honest with you, they'll actually say, yeah, it's not so bad.
Yeah, we have the that kind of uh, rule in our troop with anything. Once you get out on the trail, once you're at the base, once you're doing whatever, you don't there's no cell phones. And it was
Robin,
easy when
waterproof
we went to the
cameras work
Boundary
out.
Waters. Yeah.
Yeah, and waterproof cameras work out amazing. My son took one on his scout trip recently, and I was giggling at the pictures that he took. But that's a great way to capture memories because I know a lot of kids use it for their phone, for the
Yeah.
cameras as well. So those waterproof cameras work out really nice.
Yeah, I've got one. I think it's a Olympus camera. It's waterproof. You can hit it and throw it down, and it's still a good thing. So there's a lot of good things like that. So
Yeah, those are
um,
great.
well, what other I just went through the normal stuff that and talk we talked about the normal stuff that most leaders will have questions about. So, but what have I left out? I mean, what cool things that
Hmm.
that you might tell somebody coming to Aquabase?
How about food?
Food's a good one.
A lot of
Everybody
people
likes to eat.
a lot of people ask about the food, and so we have a staff of two. One person drives a pontoon boat, and then I'm in my own boat. But the pontoon boat is our support vehicle. So on the pontoon boat, we have ice chests and grills and dry boxes that hold the food supplies that we need for the first 3 days, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then on Wednesday, the driver goes back to camp and replenishes the supply to get us through um, the rest of the week. until we come back. And we eat really well. So breakfast is a mix of cereal, milk, juices, yogurt, fresh fruit. Lunches are some great sandwiches that we make for the scouts. And then dinner, we take everyone and ferry them to shore, and then they cook patrol style. So one day is we actually have a ribeye steak, and another day is a chicken patty, another day is hamburgers. They really enjoy the food.
That sounds awesome.
Rob, another question we get is whether or not adult leaders can go on this trip. I mean, we talk
Yes.
this up so much, and the kids love it, and they want to go. Hey, can I go too? And really, we try to focus on the youth. After all, this is a youth program. But
Right.
if we do have spots left over, if we happen to not fill that week, then we will take adults as well at the fee that we charge the kids. So that's something that we do get asked a lot as well, as whether or not we could take adults.
Right. And we don't mix the adults with the youth. The adults sail on an adult boat, or sometimes we'll have just one adult and they'll bunk with me for the week.
That sounds like fun. When my troop went down to sea base, we did a December trip, and the only reason I'm bringing this up because it's the only sailboat story I have. But I'm not sure the other two adults that I had with us. I'm not sure we could have gotten back if we tried because we didn't know how to work the sail. We didn't know how to do anything because the boys, our boys did all that, and
Yeah.
we just sat back and just watched them and took naps and fished, and it was it was probably one of the most relaxing vacations I've had ever. So
That's
Oh,
because
awesome.
I
nice.
didn't have to, especially scout vac, because that's not usually a vacation. That's usually
Exactly.
you're
Right, right.
working. So
Well,
now,
Aquabase is a little different because the boys do get to work on it a lot, but the surveys and the feedback we get from the scouts is just amazing. It's a once in a lifetime experience that they get to have with their buddies. And a lot of times they are the older scouts. And so when those scouts get to the point where they're going to graduate into being an assistant scoutmaster and adult leader, this is kind of the last hurrah for a lot of them. And it's really just a great opportunity for them to have that moment of excitement and energy, and the keel tilts over to the point you think the boat's gonna fall over and you're gonna go in the water, and it's just the wind in your hair and the excitement and energy that you get from it is just the adrenaline rush is just amazing.
that's awesome.
And I should add, Rob, for all of the adults that are listening out there, that the reason that we have these particular boats is that they are made so that they will not turn over.
It does feel like it though. You get the wind in your sail and you're leaning over all the way to the right, and all of a sudden you're like, "Are we going over?" But you don't. But it's the adrenaline rush of the thought that it might happen.
Yeah,
It's great.
exactly.
I can understand that. Not like a taking canoeing. It's at camp or anything because
Right. Or even small
the
boat sailing. You know.
exactly. So now,
Yeah.
you're right on Kentucky Lake. Obviously, can the boys fish? Do they have to have a license for Kentucky license? How does that is that a possibility?
Great question. What I found, the first year that I was director, I uh, did agree to that some folks could bring along their fishing gear. Well, what we found out was that there's way too much rigging, too much sail, and too much
Hmm.
bare skin on the boat for fishing. And so, no, that's something that we just don't do. We don't fish off the boats.
Awesome. All right. Okay. All right. Anything else that that want to mention about it?
Can't think of anything.
Okay. Sounds like we covered the high points. So, um, well, I'd say Sarah and Reed, thank you for joining us today on the High Adventure Scouting podcast. I appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah,
Rob,
thank
thank you
you.
again for having us. We really appreciate the opportunity to share our experience. Like I said, we're the best kept secret, but we want to get the word out. We want more people to hear about our programs. Reed does an amazing job with his team of planning the program throughout the year and adjusting to things as needed. And we definitely appreciate that as well. But it's all about putting these kids out in opportunities that they wouldn't be able to do on their own. And so it is our pleasure to be able to offer this program, and we just want more folks to know about it.
Well, that's great. I'm excited. I want to go now. So, but I can't because I'm not a scout. So, so I want to thank Sarah Flowers, Director of Camping Services, and Reed Parrish, Aquabase Director, both from the Lincoln Heritage Council and Aquabase, for joining us today. You can get more information on their programs at lhcbsa.org/high-adventure. That's lhcbsa.org/high-adventure. And I will have that as a link on the podcast information to make it easier. Thanks for joining us today, and remember to tell your friends about this podcast. You can find us online at highadventurescouting.com, on Facebook or Instagram. If you have any questions or ideas for future podcasts, just email us at info@highadventurescouting.com. This podcast and website are independent and not affiliated with any youth organization. Happy High Adventure! This has been a production of High Adventure Resources.